Hi everyone, my name is Heya. I've been a nutrition scientist living in London for 8 years and I've gone vegan. Today I'm going to answer a question that I get asked quite a lot by my friends and my family, and that is, why did you go vegan? In my circles at the time, it was something that was quite unexpected and probably perceived as a little bit extreme. I'm going to tell you everything about why I made this decision and how I came to it about 2.5 years ago. So if you are contemplating living a more vegan lifestyle, or if you're just curious, I hope that my story gives you some insight into the journey ahead and also some confidence that you're not alone. My story starts actually quite a while back when I was about 5 years old. I grew up in Kuwait, and as an only child, I actually had quite a lot of pets to keep me company. As a teenager, I struggled quite a lot with my nutrition and my health, and I was so lucky to get educated about my diet and nutrition, and all this knowledge really changed my life and my health. I was so excited about this, and I felt like all of this knowledge gave me so much power, and I wanted to dig deeper and understand a little bit more. And so that's what motivated me to go and get a degree in nutrition science and pre-med in the US. I went to Penn State. While I was there, I was exposed to research for the first time, and that was what motivated me to move to London and get my master's in nutrition science at King's College London. I then stayed on and also did my PhD in nutrition science at King's College London. All of my life abroad in different countries, as well as my education in nutrition, got me to question my own beliefs around diet and how we think about food. While I was in the US and in the UK, I started to get exposed to meats that I didn't really have growing up in the Middle East. They just weren't part of the cuisine in the Levant. These were duck and rabbit, and I felt like I was unable to eat them because these were actually my pets when I was growing up. And I remember trying to tell myself, come on, you're being completely irrational. Why is it that just these meats that you won't eat? And I was trying to sort of desensitize myself and tell myself, like, how are these any different to all of the other meats that you have? And I'd even sort of force myself to try them. And to be honest, every time I faced it, I felt a little bit like I was being hypocritical. But really, I kept pushing it to the back of my mind because I wasn't ready to face it. I felt like it was an interesting take on things, but I didn't feel that I was ready to question myself in this sort of way or make any decisions about my lifestyle. I didn't have that many vegans in my circle, but I remember the first time that I got exposed to veganism, and that was in my master's when I was at King's. My dissertation was actually about comparing the heart health of vegans and omnivores. And at the time, it was the first time I meet any vegans. I recruited them from around London to join the study. And it was quite an interesting lifestyle, but it still felt like something that wasn't really for me, or I didn't fully grasp or understand. And looking back, I feel like I avoided the questions for quite a few reasons. I looked at nutrition in a very human-centric way, and I was thinking, what is it that humans need in order to be able to have a complete diet, rather than the needs of any other species or the planet itself? I knew that if I faced the question and dug further, I was going to find out information that I didn't want to know. So I was intentionally burying my head in the sand. Because I knew that it meant huge lifestyle changes. That meant that probably I might be judged for the decisions that I was making, and also probably as well it was going to be such a massive change, and it felt like a big mountain to climb at the time that I didn't have the capacity for. I felt like maybe I'd be an inconvenience to others around me, and also I felt like it was such a big change and I wasn't so sure where to begin. I'm curious to know, does anyone else feel like this? Have you ever felt like this? Please let me know in the comments if you feel like you're comfortable sharing. It was a series of events that started to open up my mind more to being ready to face the questions that I'd been pushing away for so long, and also the realities of the products that I was consuming. I was once on a conference trip that took me to Sao Paulo in Brazil, and while I was there, I took the opportunity to visit the Amazon. On one of the nights that I was there, we were told that we have to catch our own fish from the river, otherwise there was no dinner. And I remember sitting in that boat and people around me catching their own fish, and I was just thinking, please don't let me catch one. I could see the fish's eyes and I knew that I just couldn't do it. And that was a really big realization moment for me. I felt that if I'm unable to actually catch the fish, then what gives me the right to be having it for dinner? And in the back of my mind, I thought, well, if I'm not able to catch a fish, I know for a fact that I will not be able to catch my own meat from a mammal or a bird. I was coming toward the end of my PhD, which was about sleep and diet. And I started to really reflect on how our biology as humans is actually dictated by the day and night cycles every day. So literally the Earth's rotations even dictate how we function and our own biology. And that was very powerful for me. I felt like it was just another real example of how we humans are part of this whole system that we need to respect. It gave me so much more appreciation for the planet and how we are part of the entire ecosystem, that it doesn't all just revolve around us and our human needs. I had then also started working for a personalized nutrition startup that does cutting edge science on how the gut microbiome and metabolism are so important for our own personal responses to food. Getting exposed to this field showed me how the microbiome is such an important part of our own human health. What's so interesting is I learned that these bugs in our gut have such an important relationship with us, where if we look after them and we feed them well, then they look after our health too. What's also so interesting is that, broadly speaking, the foods that tend to keep these bugs happy are also the ones that tend to have a better environmental impact. This deepened my belief that we humans need to be looking at the whole picture more holistically. It made me realize that we really need to pay utmost respect to our planet and everything in it, and that if our planet is thriving, then we are thriving as well, and our diet is a really big part of that. A lot of the time that I saw vegan debates or vegan documentaries, I felt quite uninspired by the fear-mongering and the anger. But then I came across Earthling Ed on YouTube, actually. And I feel like his calm and his eloquence when he was debating someone really captivated me, and I watched most of his videos. For that whole week, I naturally just sort of stopped consuming any products that were not vegan or were of any animal sources, and I felt like actually it was quite easy to do in London. It was very easy to navigate. But I was not ready to call myself vegan. That weekend, I finally mustered up all the courage that I had to watch a documentary called Earthlings, which is narrated by Joaquin Phoenix. And I was absolutely shocked by everything that I've learned. I learned that animals are treated as a commodity in so many parts of our life, not just diet. It was at that moment that I realized, or I decided, that I did not want to be a part of that. I did not want to fund these practices in any way. I decided I would rather that my money goes towards supporting products, services, businesses that I do believe in. I became really passionate about supporting companies that were doing things differently and taking some more responsibility. And that was when I decided I was going vegan. Being in London, it felt like it was pretty easy and also quite enjoyable. It opened my eyes to a whole other world of cuisines, foods, recipes, and as well, of course, I recognize that my education, my background in nutrition really made that a lot simpler for me. The biggest struggle for me was realizing how it touches so many other parts of our life, like interior design, vehicles, fashion, makeup, all these products around us that I was using every single day that I never even stopped and really thought about where they were coming from or what sort of practices I was funding by having these in my life. And I absolutely love, modern, cool fashion and beauty products, as many of us do. And it felt like, oh my goodness, there is so much that I need to give up now. It was a difficult moment realizing there's still so much work I need to do. Particularly, a huge part of my closet was actually leather. I love the look of it, the feel, how it's so modern, it's so chic, and I never questioned where it actually comes from. And when I dug further, I was realizing leather is not only harmful to, of course, animals, since it's animal skin, but even for the environment and also the humans that are producing it or turning it from animal skin into the leather that we know and use and love. I was torn because I felt like, of course, this is such a big change in terms of my style and the products and the things that I would naturally gravitate toward. But digging further into leather options, I actually found that there is quite a lot of innovation in this area. It is possible to find alternatives that are cruelty-free, and being cruelty-free and also sustainable and ethical as well as stylish is something that is attainable. There's a lot of innovation in this area and it's only going to increase, so making these small changes here and there is becoming quite possible. Like with any lifestyle change, and I especially understand this having been in nutrition science for so long, lifestyle change is really hard. But what we know works is really small sustainable changes that makes sense to each individual over time. And this is what tends to add up and tends to work. Because everyone starts from a different place. What makes sense for one person may not for another. And it's about finding the things that you are excited about and that work for you personally. Because when we think about cruelty-free or veganism, of course immediately we think about food, and that is a really important part. But also there are so many other parts of our life that could benefit from some changes. And some people might feel like making these changes could feel a little bit less intimidating than a big overhaul in diet. I believe we can all do something, take 1 or 2 small steps. It doesn't have to be 0 to 100 overnight. That's not the case for everybody. It comes down to being intentional in buying the things that we actually do believe in. It's about supporting or voting for the things that we do want to fund with our dollar or our pound. If you love your leather products and you're interested in cruelty-free fashion, and perhaps maybe you are in the process of transitioning to being vegan, or you're just kind of curious and you're interested, or even if you're not and you're just the sort of person who likes to look at things with a little bit more deliberateness and intentionality, I'll be empowering you with all the latest developments in all things vegan, cruelty-free, so that you can make the decisions that work best for your style and also your lifestyle. If you like this video, hit that like button and share it with a friend if you feel like it might help them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.